Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, I am finally going to tell my story of when I was put in the psych ward. Now, I'm going to be doing my makeup while I do this, so I hope I don't cry. If I cry, it's okay. I have tissues, there's no need. And this isn't a bashing video, this isn't a self-help video, this is my experience, everything that happened, and how it has benefited me after it happened. If that makes any sense. But it's a very touching story on my heart, and I'm finally ready to share it with you guys. Now, I'm going to try and not make this video as lengthy as possible, and if it is. If you can take what you want from it, if you have questions, leave them down in the comments. For any family members of mine watching, the ones who don't know, this is your first time. Hey, I don't know what to tell you, but let me start off by saying this. I am okay. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I am okay. There's no issues, there's no need to be concerned. This is something that happened a few years ago, and it stems from my depression and how I was feeling. And it also puts in perspective on what you say to certain people and how they interpret it, and it just, it's a lot, but it's okay because it has helped me in the long run. Now, let me first off by saying today is March 6th, and it has been exactly 5 years. Yes, this happened back in 2020. This happened right before COVID. Right before. And I wasn't put in there because I didn't feel safe with myself. Okay, let's just start with that. But it started off actually today, March 6th. I had a scheduled doctor's appointment, just a regular annual checkup. Where am I going with this? I'll say this way. Just an annual scheduled, nothing too crazy, nothing to be too concerned about. So I went to my doctor's appointment, and it was like in the afternoon. Went there, I signed in, and was getting ready, just waiting for the practitioner to come in, and she did everything, weight, height, same old, nothing out of the ordinary. And she started asking me how I was feeling. Now, mind you, this is March. In January, like early January, it was like snowing really bad one night. Either mid or late January. It was snowing really, really bad. I had my best friend with me, and I had to go pick up a Christmas gift at my grandmother's house. So I went and I got it, and I just had a moment. I was with my best friend, big brother, who I feel completely and utterly safe with, and we were just talking about something, and that triggered me into having a moment. Now, let me give you a little backstory on my depression. I was diagnosed with depression my junior year of high school. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression by a licensed therapist, and it happened because my junior year of high school, outside of being around outside of being around just family, how I was feeling at home and what was going on at home, I didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable. And before you guys say anything, no, there was no abuse going on. No. It's just, the vibes and the tension and the environment just wasn't working for me. It wasn't. And school was my escape, but I couldn't focus in school because I was so focused on what was going on at home. On top of that, I lost my great grandmother that year. God rest my Grammy's soul. God rest her soul. She's no longer here. I lost her that August of 2014. And that was hard because, of course, I loved her very much. And she was my only great-grandmother that was living, that watched me grow up. I'm her and my granddad, I'm their first great-grandchild. So she's seen me through everything. And with me going into my senior year getting ready to go into my senior year of high school, it was a lot. So on top of losing my great grandmother and what was going on at home, I just was not focusing. And I spent a lot of time in my guidance counselor's office. And a lot of it stemmed from, how my relationship with, certain family members were. When you grow up hearing you're selfish, you don't care about anybody else, or you're just venting to somebody, or you just want to talk, and then they keep cutting you off and they keep talking, that becomes a lot. And that is one of my triggers. Do not over talk me, do not talk over me. And when I'm talking to you, or if I'm venting, I let people know, hey, I just need to vent for a second. I don't need you to talk. I just need you to just be quiet. If you cannot do that, I don't want an opinion. I don't want a fact. I don't want nothing. I just want you to just be quiet. And if you can't do that, and if you cut me off while I'm talking, that drives me crazy. And it triggers me. And that is what I was going through sophomore and junior year. It was too much. Too much for me. And I spent a lot of time in my guidance counselor's office. And it got to the point where she called my mom in after school, and we had a meeting. And it took her my mom sitting in there seeing me cry, and they're like, oh, okay, so something's going on. Because I wasn't communicating, because I was always told I don't want to hear it. If I was talking about the same thing, clearly it was bothering me, but nobody wanted to listen. So I had enough. I was done. I couldn't do it. Couldn't focus, couldn't function. I was literally sitting in class taking a test, and my teacher told me to go down to my counselor's office, because I was literally sitting there. No one had done or said anything to me. Nobody was mean to me. I wasn't being bullied, like none of that. I was literally sitting in class taking a test, and I'm shaking and I'm crying, and my teachers were concerned. That's how stressed out and overwhelmed I was. Okay? On top of that, I was losing my hair. I was breaking out. I was gaining unhealthy weight. It was just not good for me, you guys. It was not good. It was not a good environment. Okay? Where is my concealer? So, you know, my great-grandmother's funeral was that September, and that was a very, very emotional day for me. And you guys, there are, like, when it comes to, like, family loss and, like, family funerals, there are some family funerals where, you know, I could sit through it and I can get through it. And then there are some and then there were some funerals where I couldn't. And her funeral is the first funeral that I remember where I cried from the moment I walked into the church to the moment I walked out. I was exhausted. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but that's how I was feeling. There's no sugarcoating it, no faking it, no nothing. That's how I was feeling. So, I went to my first therapy session, and I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Now, I do not take medication for it. And I still don't. Like, I don't take any medication for anxiety and depression. I don't. But it was like, okay. Now, cut to 2020. Now, all of 2014, up until March of 2020, I was going out with friends. I was having fun. I was putting on a smile, being around family, interacting, but I wasn't happy. You put on the front like everything's cool when everything is not cool. No, I wasn't happy, you guys. I was staying up late. I moved in with my grandparents because I was going to school 2016, 2017. So I moved in to my grandparents' house. I've been here ever since. All my 20s, I have been living here. So I was going to school, making new friends, working, and everything's cool, everything's copacetic, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't. I'm not even going to say that I was when I was not happy. And I'm grateful for my best friends that I have, and my cousins, bless their heart, I love them. They were doing everything in their power to, on those days, make me happy and smile, and being around them definitely helped. Now, cut to 2020. I'm at my doctor's appointment. It's the end of my appointment. She's asking me how am I doing, how's life doing, and I told her about my breakdown that I had in the car. Like, I was just crying. I was just emotional, you guys. Emotional, to say the least. And she asked me if I felt safe, and I said, of course I felt safe. But apparently in her mind, she didn't believe what I was saying. So she called the ambulance, and they came and they took me to the hospital. And I'm sitting there, and mind you guys, my car is at my doctor's office. I'm here by myself. I'm not with a parent. I'm not with a grandparent. I'm not with a friend. I'm by myself. And I'm sitting in the emergency room, hospital. I'm like, why am I here? So then they bring me into this room in the back. And it's this creepy room. It looks like an escape room almost. But there's an office back there. And I was told I was being admitted to the psych ward. And I said, what? What do you mean? Like, the EMTs didn't tell me nothing. The lady that was doing my checkup didn't tell me anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? They said that I apparently told the practitioner at the office that I didn't feel safe. I'm like, I did not say that. Those words never came out of my mouth. So clearly she told y'all something that was not true, because that is not what I said. Never said it. Those words never came out of my mouth. I've never felt unsafe. I've never been suicidal. And never in my life. So the first thing and they were trying to take my phone, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I immediately called my dad. That was the first person that I could get a hold of. I called my dad. And I told him what was going on, and he was just as shook, and I think he went into a panic because, like, why is my child here in the psych ward? He got on the phone with the doctors, and he's yelling at him, and at the time, I was 23, you guys. I turned 28 this June. I was turning 23 that year. In my whole life, I have seen my dad angry maybe 5 times, and I can count, and I've only heard him yell maybe once. My dad is chill. He's cool. But he doesn't play when it comes to his kids. Just like any parent would. Nobody plays when it comes to their kids. So he's getting on the phone with the doctor, and they're trying to figure out. So he gets off the phone with me. He calls my mom. Okay? Now, I did not want him to call my mom, because my mom is an emotional woman. She is. Like, she has no problem wearing her heart out on her sleeve. She's not ashamed of it. Not embarrassed of it. But I take after my dad, where it takes a lot to get angry and to really piss me off. And that's when I react. And my mom is the complete opposite. The opposite. So, they take me up to the psych ward. Now, and, they're trying to admit me. And at this point, I'm in tears. I'm scared. This has never happened to me. I'm by myself. I don't know what's going on. These people are telling me one thing. They're saying I said this when clearly I didn't. And they can tell by my face that I'm telling the truth. They can see it on my face. They hear it in my voice that I am telling the truth. But they won't let me leave. Because them being in the medical field, they take, those words very seriously, as they should. But if I'm telling you this, and you can see I'm telling you the truth, they won't let me leave. And at this point, it's now going into nighttime. So I get up to the place, and there's a call from the psych ward, and it's my mom. So they call me over. At this point, I'm trying to calm myself down. She gets on the phone with me, and she's already in tears, and she's hysterical. And I'm like, I need you to calm down. Because if you get riled up, I'm going to get riled up in here, and then they're really not going to let me leave. I need you to calm down. She's on the phone with me. She's asking me, am I trying to harm myself? No, I'm not. I'm not. At this point, I'm just pissed off. Pissed off. And I'm saying, all this, and they said, okay, well, just take the night here. I had to call my grandparents. They had to go get my car so it didn't get totaled, or I didn't get a ticket. They had to go get it. They didn't know what was going on. They weren't home when I left to go to the doctors. So that first night was just chaotic. So they said, they were so sweet to me. And they were like, we know you're upset, we see it, but we can't do anything tonight. So just take the night here. And at that, I didn't want to do it, but I had no choice. Okay? So, and I was put in a room with this older woman. She was very nice, she was very sweet. And, she's trying to calm me down, and I calmed down, I went to sleep. Okay? It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. The next morning. It's like 5 a.m. And I'm being woken up. I'm like, I'm a little delirious. But I'm like, do I get to go home? And they're like, no, we have to draw your blood. I'm like, what do you mean draw my blood? What do you mean? They had to draw my blood to make sure there was nothing in my system. I was like, okay. So they drew my blood. And, I went back to sleep. And I woke up again around they have a system. So everybody woke up at the same time. Breakfast came in. I ate breakfast. And that next day, my parents showed up. They showed up there in the ward, and I sat down with them. I sat down with the social worker, and I explained everything that was going on. So he was like, okay, I'm going to do everything in my power to get you out of here. But you have to stay here. I can't, they think you are a harm to yourself. I'm like, I'm not, though. Never. In my whole, at the time, 22 years, never. I was like, okay, you know what? There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out. So, my parents leave. I don't have my phone, you guys. Electronics, at least for the patients. So, I'm sitting in there, and, I'm scared, but I'm trying to stay calm, cool, and collective. And I want to say this, and I'm making this as sincere and as sensitive as I can. The psych ward is not just for unstable people. It's not. The psych ward can be very beneficial. And it was for me. And and I joke around when I say, you're not crazy when the people who were labeled crazy or unstable or erratic, when they're in there, and everybody in there, the patients, the nurses, the doctor, they're like, what are you doing here? You don't belong in here. I met some very nice, genuine people in the psych ward. And they were so sweet and they were so gentle with me, and I was able to relax. I had to spend another night in there. So I was there for a night and a whole other day. So like over 24 hours basically. I was there for a night and a whole day, and then I was able to leave. So I get in there and I'm sitting down with the therapist, and she's like, "You don't belong in here. You shouldn't have been put in here." Now, I don't know what's going on the outside, but from what my parents were saying, well, we gotta do something with that doctor's office, because why would she send you here if you said there was nothing wrong? I still to this day cannot grasp why. And you know, when I play back that day, and I said to myself, Samantha, why did you get in the ambulance? Why did you do that? Had you not done that, had you just said everything was good and just walked out, you would have been fine. But I wouldn't have been fine, because I would have still been in the same headspace that I was in. Everything always comes back. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking with my roommate. I forgot her name, but and I'm not going to tell you guys why she was in there, but it wasn't for anything major or serious or dangerous. Just, again, like me, the wrong people, telling people the wrong information, making her look crazy when she's not. So, and that same day I started my cycle, and that explains why I was so emotional. Because I'm not an emotional person like that, unless it's really. But at the time, I was very emotional, but I never showed it. I showed it in anger. I never showed it through tears. So I'm like, oh, this is why I've been acting like that, and why I've been so emotional lately. So, I cleaned myself up, took care of myself, and I didn't have any clothes, so I was wearing the scrubs. So it's the next day. I get called in with the social worker, and he says, you can call your mom and she can come and get you. You can go home. And I was excited. And he said, at the time I was still under my dad's insurance. So through the insurance, he found me a therapist and a primary care doctor. So, and at the time I didn't have either. A new primary care doctor. So I was like, okay, this could work. Cool. I was excited. I made friends in there. And they were happy for me. I got on the phone, and I'm sure my mom was waiting by the phone, waiting for me to call her. I said, Mom, come get me. I can go home. So I packed up my stuff. I waited. She came up there, got signed out, and my mom had a moment. She did. Wrapped me in a hug, and she was just relieved that I was out of there. And we couldn't have gotten out of the hospital any faster. Okay? I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it for you guys. We got out of there with quickness. And we went to get something to eat. I called my dad. I told him that I was out, and he was relieved. And then I went back to my grandmother's house, and my grandma knew what was going on. And, I hugged her. My grandpa knew. Hugged him. My brother knew. And, he was just relieved that I was out. And so I stayed at my grandparents for a while. I waited for my Nana and Papi to come get me. They came and picked me up. I came home. I took a shower. And I just breathed, relaxed. sigh of relief. Like, I'm home. And I'm okay. Now here's the crazy thing about this whole... Now, the next day, waking up the next day, my papi asked me to come outside and, help him wake up, whatever leaves, or the car. He asked me to come outside because he was working on, like, washing my car, but he said he wanted to talk to me. And I was like, okay. And my papi is just like my dad and just like me. We real chill. That's it. We real chill. Like, it takes a lot to make us angry. She's not glued down. And that whole situation, it bothered him. And he told me that. He's like, that whole situation, it bothered me. It made him feel uncomfortable. And he was very worried. As he should be. It's not every day you get a call from your son saying your granddaughter is in the psych ward. Not every day that happens. So he's like, what is going on? Why didn't you say nothing? And I said, Papi, I have been saying things for years. No one wanted to listen. Like, there's only so much that a person can say or do for you to listen and be like, oh, okay. Like, it shouldn't take something serious as what happened for you to finally pay attention. It shouldn't. And I said, I don't do well with yelling. Do not yell at me. Don't do it. I don't respond to it. I shut down. Still to this day, do not yell at me. Especially if I'm not yelling at you and I'm trying to have a conversation with you, don't yell at me. There's no need for it. There's no need for the name calling. There's no need for the insults. There's no need for the belittling. I don't want to hear, or you don't understand, or I'm not one of your little friends, or, I'm this amount of age. I don't care. I don't care how old you are. And as far as me, that whole saying, and you hear this, I don't know if it's in other families, but in the African American, in the black culture, we hear it a lot. Now, I don't know if it's just my family, but I hear it a lot. I hear it all the time. I'm not one of your little friends. Well, guess what? None of my friends talk to me the way you all talk to me. None of my friends downplay or belittle my feelings. Y'all do. My friends don't tell me to get over something if it's really bothering me. Y'all do. That's the difference. And I said that to him. That's the difference. Don't cut me off when I'm talking. Don't interrupt me when I'm talking. Don't talk over me when I'm talking. Because it's just going to irritate me. Don't assume things about me. I can be sitting, you guys, I can't tell you how many times I could be sitting there like this, watching TV or looking at my phone, and I get told, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong. I'm just sitting here. I'm minding my business. Minding the business that is mine. My business. I'm not bothering nobody. I don't bother anybody. You can ask anybody. I don't have not one enemy. Anybody who knows me tells me all the time, you are such a sweet person. You are so chill. You are non-problematic. So if I'm all these things, why are you trying to provoke me? What? I don't bother. I don't have the energy to bother anybody. I really don't. I do not have the energy. I don't have the time nor the patience. And I have a lot of patience. Hence, a lot of patience. Because I could have crashed out Lord. Just gonna rub it into my sock. I could have crashed out a long time ago. Okay? I had every ample well-being opportunity to crash out. I had every ample well-being opportunity to be a menace to society. I had every ample opportunity to be rude and disrespectful to everyone around me. But I never did, because I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to have respect. I was raised to show respect. I was always told, you want respect, you have to give it. And I always gave it. I respected rules. I never did anything where my name or my reputation would be slandered or questioned. I don't. I never have, and still to this day, I never have. Never. I've never been arrested. I've never been on drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink. Alcohol, my body literally repulses it. It makes me sick. I don't drink. So there's nothing that you can hold over my head that I said, I did this to you. I stole your man, or I tricked you, or I did. No, you can't say that, because that would be a bold-faced lie. And I said that to him. I'm like, I'm tired of being talked at like I'm 3. At the time, I'm not 3. I was turning 23 in 4 months. I was turning 23. And I hear it all the time. Yeah, you were spoiled. The first great grandchild, the first grandchild, and you're a girl. You were spoiled. Okay, I hear the stories, and I'm grateful and I'm blessed to have a family who loves me. I am. I don't regret my family. I would never trade them for anything, even though some of them stress me out or have me very worried or concerned. But that's my family. Shit happens, but I'm not gonna tolerate that. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are. I'm not gonna tolerate it. So I met with my therapist that following. I got home on Saturday and I met with my therapist that Wednesday. And I went in, I signed in, everything, and I had this nice lady. She was so nice and she was so sweet. She was very gentle with me because she could tell this is my first real therapy session with my therapist. And yes, I cried there. I told her everything was going on. And she said, just from me explaining, like, how I react to certain things, she said, your anxiety and your depression stems from your environment. And I didn't know what that meant. I think I knew, but at the time, I know now, but at the time, I didn't know what it meant. I was like, what do you mean? It's like your anxiety is triggered by your environment. So if I'm in an uncomfortable environment, it's gonna trigger my anxiety. Self-explanatory, right? And I was like, as she was saying it to me, I'm like, this makes sense. There is no reason, or if I'm around certain people, like, there's no reason why I should feel uncomfortable anywhere that I am, unless something happened. And at the time, when I was living with my other grandparents, it wasn't happy, fun spring sunflower fields new. It wasn't like that. The arguments, the fighting, nobody's getting along, the talking about each other. It was not a good environment, you guys. For me, it wasn't. I wasn't happy. I'm putting my lashes on. I wasn't happy. I wasn't okay. It was like, and family, we put on a front, like everything's okay when everything isn't, and it's like, y'all gotta stop doing that. I saw the fakeness. I don't have enough glue on here. I saw the fakeness. I witnessed it, and it wasn't cool. But so when I moved in with my Nana and Poppy for school, the second I moved in, now I moved in here back in 2016. That's when I moved in here. And when I moved in, I wasn't happy, but with myself, but everything. Suddenly my hair stopped falling out. My skin started to clear up. Like, the little things that was stressing me out wasn't stressing me out anymore, because I wasn't in that environment. And that's another thing. If you know you're in an uncomfortable environment, please get out. Do not stay there. Do not torture yourself. Don't do that to yourself, because it's not healthy. And the real people who know you and love you, they'll see it. So, back to the conversation with my Poppy, I was like, Poppy, look. These are my boundaries. Oh my God. These are my boundaries. If you have boundaries, cool. If you don't know what they are, they're kind of like signs. Okay? And basically, these signs are little warnings or messages of what's going to happen if you don't follow them. They're your own little rules for yourself to protect your well-being. If you have them, cool, let me know down in the comments. Maybe there's something on there that I can add to mine. But my boundaries is, if I come to you and I say, hey, I just need to vent, just be quiet. Don't talk. Don't overtalk me. Don't do any of that. Don't yell at me. Especially if there's nothing to yell at me. Don't raise your voice to me. Don't get agitated. There's no need for that. Because I immediately go into defense mode. Or I shut down. Don't do it. And then the conversation gets nowhere. It's like a waste of time. Like, why are we talking? If you are only going to listen to your mouth and everything that you say, and you're not going to hear anything that I have to say, I'm not going to talk to you. Don't guilt trip me to try and make me change my mind, because that's what would happen, guys. Like, in those situations, I would get guilt tripped or manipulated into thinking I was wrong when I was right. I know I was right. I was gaslit, and I finally understood the meaning of that word. Like, I knew what it was, but when it happens to you, then you're like, oh, okay, cool, I get it now. Like, don't gaslight me. Don't try to guilt trip me just so you can feel better about yourself or you can be made right, because you're not right. And you know you're not right. And this is how I always know when I'm right in a situation, because if you're getting angry and defensive of what I'm saying, you know I'm telling the truth. You know that. And you're mad because you can't strive me or twist it to, make it work. Because it's not going to happen. I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to change. I know what I'm right. And I shouldn't have to yell and scream at the top of my lungs for you to hear me. That's BS, and it's ridiculous. Like, why are you getting defensive? You know you're wrong. Just admit it. Those are just a few of my boundaries that I have. And honestly, I have these boundaries, but these boundaries reflect with my family, because my friends respect my boundaries. They know. They pay attention. They don't do anything to try and make it worse. They get it. And that's the thing with, I want to say with the older, like my parents' generation, my grandparents, they didn't have that voice to be like, oh, you're wrong and your feelings don't matter. They were always told to get over it. Or that's just how it is. Or that's just how that person reacts. Well, how that person reacts ain't working for me. It ain't working for me. It ain't working for the situation. It ain't working for the environment. It's just not. But I hope you guys, this is a final look. I'm very proud of myself that I got through this video without crying. It's my 5-year anniversary, like I said. And these last 5 years have my up and down moments. I do. And I'm trying to get out of this funk that I'm in right now, because I actually put myself in this funk. I did it to myself, but, taking it one day at a time. Last year was these last 2 years have been rough on me. Losing my god sister, losing my grandpa within months of each other, that was rough. The first year without him is crazy. Like, he passed February 29th. It's been a year I've lost my grandpa. It's been a year I've lost my god sister. The 1-year anniversary of my grandpa's funeral is March 18th. The month of March. They don't call it March Madness for nothing. It's madness. And 10 years I have been out of high school. 10 years, you guys. 28. I had been out of high school for a decade. I'm 2 years away from 30. And I finally feel like I have a goal, I have a plan, and I'm going to execute it. And the love and support that I have from my family and my friends, I know I can achieve it. And of course, the Almighty God Himself, has been guiding me. I've been seeing a lot of good signs, a lot of positive signs, and I said that 2025, all the good signs that I am getting, I'm going to take them. I'm going to hold on to them. and I'm going to accomplish them. And I'm proud of myself. I couldn't say that before. Not at all. I couldn't say that I was proud of myself. I couldn't say that I was happy. I couldn't say, I used to say I was numb. I didn't have any feelings. But I have them, and they're real. And when I bleed blood just like the next person. When you hurt me, it hurt. When you hurt me, I cry. But now I learned how to voice my feelings. Healthily, in a healthy way. I'm trying to be fancy with these big old words. I am happy of the person that I am now. I am happy of the accomplishments that I am doing now. And I am proud of the woman that I am today. And it took a lot of strength and prayer to do this video, but what better way, 5-year anniversary, and what better time to do it. So that is the end of my story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys took something from it. Like I said, let me know down in my comments what your boundaries are, what your triggers are. Or if you have a similar story or experience, let me know down in the comments. This is not a judge. I don't judge. I don't have the energy to judge unless you give me a reason to judge you. But I am open to hearing. If you guys have advice for me or questions for me, let me know. My Instagram will be, you'll see at the end of my end credits, but I will also, have it there, as well as my TikTok. So you guys, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe to my channel, like, comment, share, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.